Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to GNR Central, and let's get started with this week's news. So Slash gave an interview recently to a Singapore publication where he was talking a bit about his gig ahead with Myles Kennedy and the Conspirators in the country, and he's currently on tour right now, and he revealed what instrument he wished he could play instead of guitar. So the interviewer said, was there any instrument you wish you had played as well? And he said, not really. Playing the guitar actually affords you the ability to play a lot of stringed instruments as long as they don't require a bow. But one of the instruments I would love to learn to play at some point, I just don't know when I'm going to sit down and actually start on it, but it's a harp. I think those are beautiful instruments, and I would love before I'm pushing daisies to be able to play a harp. Of course, that Slash played a banjo on the song Breakdown from Use Your Illusion 2, and he said he didn't even know how to play banjo. He just kind of tuned it like he would a guitar. So in a separate news story, Slash was being interviewed in another Singapore publication, and he was asked about which pop star he enjoys the most. And ahead of his gig in Singapore, he said that he's a fan of some of Katy Perry's songs from a few years ago. Now here's a clip from the Revolver Golden God Awards from 2012, where he again highlighted that he was a fan of some of Katy Perry's songs, including California Girls from her 2010 album Teenage Dream. Here's the clip.
Oh, you know what? To be honest, it's that Katy Perry, my guilty pleasure pop song. That
California Girls.
I love this.
So Slash gave an interview a little while back to Mark Maron where he talked about his first guitar and amp he played. So he was asked by Mark Maron, you mostly play Les Pauls, but at the beginning, to get the tone you wanted, did you mess with electronics or did you just do amp and guitar stuff? And Slash said, okay, that's a deep question. And when I first started, I think I had a little Fender Princeton. It was this little Fender combo thing, and it was the first electric guitar I had when, was a Memphis Les Paul copy. This was 1980. So I started playing around with my birthday, so around 14 or 15. I had an acoustic guitar that I learned on. It only had one string on it, so I learned one string riffs. And then I had this cool guitar teacher in town. His name was Robert Wool. It was great. He taught me how to put the strings on the rest of the guitar. He was also asked how he found a guitar teacher. He said there was a music school in Fairfax and Santa Monica. And he was asked by the interviewer, so did you have this cathartic moment when you're like, okay, I'm going to be a guitar player? Slash said, when I got an electric guitar, the first thing I did was take that little Princeton, and I had this Les Paul copy. I got one of those MXR Distortion Plus pedals, this cute green-yellow kind of thing, and that was the moment where I was like, wow. And I was like learning about what everybody's using. I think I've been doing that ever since then, just trying to do what it is that turned me on in the first place. So he was also asked, it's like drugs, so you're that young, and the first time you turn that MXR distortion, it's a very specific type of distortion, and it's a little compressed. Slash said it's a little compressed. I mean, when you're 14 or 15, you sort of really graduate from there, but the one thing about music and guitar sounds that's different from drugs is that there are always plateaus that you can reach, and it goes on forever. With drugs, you hit that one place, usually in the first couple of weeks you start doing, and it's all downhill from there. So he talked a bit about his guitar teacher. He said that guy, Robert, he said he's going to teach me guitar lessons. So he started out like, I don't know if you've ever took piano lessons, scales and whatnot, but if you can learn this lesson by next week, I'll teach you whatever song you want me to teach you. So I was like, okay, cool. So I was into Zeppelin, Sabbath, Aerosmith, Cheap Trick. I really like the Stones and the Beatles and the Who. There's tons of records that I loved. And they also talked a bit about how the first Aerosmith record was underrated. Slash said it is underrated, but all things considered, in 1973, it didn't sound as good as the other records did back then. Sonically, I think that's why it didn't cross over. Anyways, I can't remember what the first riff I had him teach me was, but I watched him do it. He put a record on and he had the guitar and he sat there and listened to it and figured out the notes. So I eventually left there with all due respect to Robert. I learned a lot of cool things, some picking techniques, just up and down picking and pentatonics. So I quit the lessons and I just started learning. I was learning, Keith and Mick stuff. Some of the open chord stuff, it didn't go all the way down. Keith's got a lot of open chord techniques which don't really interest me. I know a lot more now than I had known back then, but a lot of Mick Taylor's single note lead stuff. Can You Hear Me Knocking? That solo. That the guitar and I were inseparable. I used to walk around with one of those tape decks like a Panasonic and some cassettes, and it was just that. So they also talked a little bit about Steven Adler and losing band members over the years. So he basically said, what, like to death? No, the cleanup and get better came later. We had a situation with Steven Adler that happened. It was pretty irretrievable in a way. We were trying to get him together, but he just, he's still around. They were lying and all, there was the lying and all that. It just wasn't going anywhere. And Steven wasn't the kind of person that under the influence he could just show up and play. I'd say it was more business management that was really the catalyst for splitting up. At least for my leaving, the underlying theme was definitely that. it wasn't necessarily about money. It was about money for those guys. For us, it wasn't about money, but it was also, playing guys against each other. And I didn't want to get into all that. It's a complex and ultimately a very personal thing. So we just after a while, it's not even worth trying to explain. So Myles Kennedy gave a new interview to the Stomp and Stroll radio show, and it was transcribed by Ultimate Guitar. So Kennedy revealed that he was unsure about appearing on Slash's self-titled 2010 solo album due to the fact that Chris Cornell and Ozzy Osbourne were also on the record. So he was asked, what was it like when Slash called you to join his band? And he said it was really cool. He called me over 9 years ago. He was working on a solo record, and he had all these amazing singers, Ozzy, Lemmy, Chris Cornell. And he called me and said, hey, would you be interested in singing a song on my solo record? To say that I was surprised that he called me would be an understatement of the decade, because I was like, are you sure you even want me on the record? And he was really cool. He sent me this music that didn't have any vocals, and he said, hey man, just spend a weekend and send it back to me. So I sent him the lyrics to what would become Starlight, and he liked it. And then we started the entire process, and we're still making music 9 years later. He was also asked, do you find it challenging working with Slash since the set is like 3 different bands worth of music? He said, yeah, it is really challenging in the beginning, and I think that really helped me evolve as a vocalist. I kind of cringe when I see a lot of the footage early on from the early days. I just wasn't ready at that point. I hadn't developed certain parts of my range, but it was kind of a trial by fire, and now it's interesting because we're actually focused a lot more on the material we've written together. So we play like one Guns N' Roses song, we do one Velvet Revolver song, and other than that, everything is at least off the last 3-4 records we've done as a full band. So that's kind of nice because obviously those tracks are easy to pull off. He also talked a bit about musical education, how he's a big supporter of it. If you guys want to read the entire interview, I've put the interview down below in the description box. Turning now to some non-GNR news, this was an interesting story that I'd never heard before. So former Howard Stern employee Stuttering John Melendez, who I used to love on the show when he used to go interview celebrities and ask them like really politically incorrect questions and like not soft questions, he told a story about how he got high with Ozzy Osbourne once. So he discussed filming himself getting high on pot with legendary Black Sabbath singer Ozzy Osbourne in a new interview with Song Facts. So Melendez recently released a book called Easy for You to Say. So he said, I tell 2 funny stories about Ozzy. Opening for him was awesome, and we were backstage with Ozzy, all smoking pot, and I'm videotaping everything, and then like a week after the gig, I bring my friends over to watch the video. We turn it on, and it's my kid on a swing. My wife taped over the whole video. The other thing is, after my band was done and Ozzy was on stage, I went onto the rafters to watch him from above. There was a black curtain, so I decided to pull away the curtain. I did, and it's this guy with a microphone singing all of Ozzy's lyrics, and he's like, close that curtain. It was like the Wizard of Oz. It's sad, but look, Ozzy's up there in years, so he needed someone to sing because he probably can't do it anymore. But Ozzy was a great guy. This isn't the first time that someone has alleged that Ozzy utilized another singer in concert. Robert Mason once spilled the beans to Eddie Trunk on his radio show. So this is another cool story that I thought you guys might enjoy. So this is from Ultimate Classic Rock. So there was a new list that was revealed online that basically took whatever statistics were available. And this isn't like a 100% foolproof list, but they figured out how much in royalties Led Zeppelin has made off of their top 10 songs. Now, of course, the song that has paid Led Zeppelin the most amount of money, which should be no surprise to anybody, is Stairway to Heaven, which has almost netted the band $3 million in online revenue. So a new ranking is based on revenue generated from consumer request estimates that Led Zeppelin 4 song has earned the band close to $3 million over the last 11 years. So Billboard took the data from Nielsen Media that computes online sales and on-demand streams of 94 Led Zeppelin songs from November of 2007, when their catalog first became available on iTunes, through July 12th of 2018, with streaming starting in December of 2015. So they applied per-song rates based on whether it was purchased or streamed in both audio and video formats, and tabulated the results. So because the study wanted to measure the popularity of each individual song with fans, program streams, radio play, full album sales, and physical sales weren't included. Instead, it only included those moments when a customer decided which song they wanted to play. So Billboard didn't distinguish among multiple recordings of the same song, like the original release, live takes, bonus tracks, and combined all versions into one. So Stairway to Heaven blew the competition away with $2.9 million worth of revenue. That's more than twice as much as Kashmir, which was number 2 with $1.42 million. Coming in at the bottom of the list with only $241 earned is Swan Song, a physical graffiti outtake that never got an official release, though it was reworked into the Firm's Midnight Moonlight, and the song appears on YouTube as a bootleg. So if you guys want to see the full list of songs, or at least the top 10, I've put the link to it down below. So that does it for today's news, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know if any of these Led Zeppelin songs surprise you, and let me know your thoughts on the rest of the news in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button and be sure to subscribe, and go check us out at gnrcentral.com. Take care.
Hey,
This is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!